Rizal on Reform and Revolution. José Rizal fought against Spain's injustice and oppression. What was basically the struggle was not merely a political one, but more importantly, the struggle for human dignity and respect for the Filipinos. Some of the injustices experienced during Rizal's time includes agrarian issues, lack of education, no real freedom of the press or speech. Such familiarity and interest on agrarian matters have clearly reflected in his selected works and writings such as the El Filibusterismo, which relates the current situation in the Philippines during his time through the character of Cabezang Tales. Organization of the La Liga Filipina in July 3, 1892 in Tondo, Manila had again demonstrated Rizal's interest on matters related to agriculture. Clearly, he believed that a developed agricultural sector is a requirement to a genuine social and economic progress. A nation like the Philippines, primarily an agricultural country, can never achieve a genuine material progress if its agricultural sector is neglected and undeveloped. Rizal wanted that his stillborn organization could provide assistance to the Filipino farmers, and pursue technical improvements in agriculture. Most Filipinos lack the privilege of education, and other benefits, or if they did have education, this was generally propagated by the colonialist policy, which not only kept Filipinos in the dark about their rights, but worse, had molded them into an abject, submissive people, ignorant or worse, ashamed of their own heritage, a heritage that existed even before the arrival of the Spaniards. Rizal is not just a conventional type of teacher, his visions were not just for himself but for the benefits of his countrymen. He always considered education as a medicine or something that could cure the problems of colonialism in the Philippines. Furthermore, he believed in education that is free from political and religious control. He asserted that reform cannot be achieved if there is no suitable education, a liberal one available to Filipinos. Rizal chose to fight for his country through knowledge and the power of letters. He noticed the continued suffering of his countrymen at the hands of the Spaniards and sought to put an end to this situation. He decided to improve on his personal studies to acquire knowledge that he would later on pass to his people through novels and poems. Rizal fought for the freedom of the Filipinos in the most silent but powerful way through his novels, essays, and articles, which became an inspiration to the Filipino youths. He condemned and exposed the injustices of the Spaniards, the colonial ruler of the Philippines during those times. In his famous novels Nali Mi Tunghiri and El Filibusterismo, which opened the minds of many Filipinos and encouraged them to resist and stand for their rights. Rizal chose reform over revolution. Rizal is branded a mere reformist because they have not read his letter to Ferdinand Blumentritt from Geneva, which states that he was not against the revolution, but, rather, advised it to be postponed for a better time, a time when the Katipuneras had arms, funds, and support from a foreign power to see the revolution to its successful conclusion. Formed organizations through Rizal. Rizal joined and formed organizations for peaceful reforms as a way he preferred to fight for the injustices of his home country. Rizal had been exposed to the problematic life under the Spanish government and was aware of the difficulties experienced by the Filipinos. He became the leader of the reform movement of Filipino students in Spain and wrote several articles and essays in the Spanish newspaper La Solidaridad. La Solidaridad, the Solidarity, was an organization created in Spain on December 13, 1888. Composed of Filipino liberals exiled in 1872 and students attending Europe's universities, the organization aimed to increase Spanish awareness of the needs of its colony, the Philippines, and to propagate a closer relationship between the Philippines and Spain. When Rizal returned to Philippines in 1892, as he felt he needed to be in the country to effectively bring about reforms, he formed La Liga Filipina, or the Philippine League, a progressive organization created by Dr. José Rizal in the Philippines in the House of Doroteo, Tondo. Manila in 1892. The organization derived from La Solidaridad and the propaganda movement. The La Liga Filipina aimed to unite the Philippines, to protect the want and necessity of everyone, to defend against violence and injustice, to have the encouragement of instruction, commerce and study on applications of reforms. Rizal chose reform over revolution, that is why he opposed the idea of revolution of Bonifacio. Eventually, Filipinos finally decided to organize the Katipunan as a result of the martyrdom of Rizal in December 30, 1896, Rizal's death, which Rizal was accused of being the founder of the Katipunan, or Brotherhood of Revolutionaries.